forward to this.
So you kind of see the flexibility of verbs. You can do so many things. We can even play sound. And I already added a sound file, which you can see right here, called bestaudio.wav. It's right in the project. We're going to reference this in the same way that we would an icon. So we're going to say, we're going to make a new sound variable. We're going to call it S. And we're going to assign sound. We're just going to reference bestaudio.wav. And then all we have to do to actually play the sound is say user output the sound. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it very well, but let's try it out. Come in here, play sound.
I've been looking forward to this.
And there we go. There's the audio. It's really easy to play sounds. You can set up a manager for all of this stuff, but we're just getting the basics out of the way. So now let's actually go inside of the house that we have on our map. Because we added these up here, but we're not doing anything yet. So let's set that up. So we're going to make a new object. And we're going to call it door. And we're going to give it an icon, which I already set up. It's actually in project icons, area icons. That's just a number 1 there, so we know. It'll make sense in just a second. So we're going to say the icon is project icons, area icons.dmi. And we're going to now create a child of our door object, and we're going to call this door1. We're going to say icon state is equal to door1. And within here, we're going to make another child. We're going to call this entrance1. We're going to make another child called exit1. So within these, we want to, we're going to use cross. And we're going to call this, and what we're just saying here is when a mob crosses this door object, call the code in here. Remember, press F1 and read about cross, read about all of the stuff if you don't understand. So we're just going to say the mob's location, the mob that crossed this door, is now going to be locate 1425 2. And yes, I wrote that down ahead of time. In our map, you actually see we're on Z layer 1. So I did mention before about Z layers. So if you add a Z layer to your map, you just use these arrows to change. Now we're on 2. Back to 1 and 2. So on here, we want to come in here 1424, 1425 2. You can see the coordinate down here when you're mousing over. So we're going to set the location right there, and we're going to do the same thing with exit. We're going to set cross mob m, and we're going to do the same thing, except we want to put them back outside now. Okay. So we're going to compile this, and if we go into our map, you're going to see we have our new object, door, door1, we have our entrance and our exit. So the exit, we're going to put inside the building right here. And back to layer 1. The entrance is going to be right here. Now, if I were to run this right now, you're going to see the object, and we actually don't see. We don't want to see the object there. So what we need to do is make that object invisible, because we don't actually need to see it. It's just visually there for mapping purposes. So we're going to set the invisibility to 101, which is the highest setting for invisibility. So now it will be totally transparent. We won't even know it's there. Gone. We'll walk in here, and it teleports us right in. We can teleport right out. Piece of cake. So lastly, one last thing. Let's do something with this bookshelf. Let's get a couple of verbs going for the bookshelf. Where's my bookshelf? Okay. And you can see as I'm scrolling through this code, sometimes when your code starts to get cluttered, I'm only leaving it in one file for convenience sake for this tutorial, but you can create as many files as you want. I have one up here that we define all the walls and everything in. And you just create new files, copy them in, it'll be fine. As long as they're included, you won't have any problems. So let's go ahead and mess with this bookshelf. So what we want to do, we want a way to read what's on the bookshelf, and we want to write something down on the bookshelf. So let's create a verb. We're going to say read book. Same as before, we're going to do set source view, so we can do this. We can access this verb when we're within one range. And we're going to need a list because we want multiple entries in this. So let's create a variable for bookshelf. So the bookshelf's going to now have a variable. We're going to call this, it's going to be a list. So we're creating a new variable called page entries. Page entries. And it's of the type list. And if you don't know what a list is, it's just a list. It's very self-explanatory, like most things are. It's going to be multiple variables, multiple entries stored within a single variable. So we're able to access all the different list entries without needing a bunch of different variables. We can just access page entries and whatever we find in there. So, and I'll show you right here an example of that. So we want to loop through, we want to say for variable I in our sources, source being the bookshelf in this sense because we're working within bookshelf, page entries. We want to output to the user the entry is this. And we just used a for loop, and it's the same concept. We want to loop through everything in here. So it's gonna go into the page entries, and in the first entry for it, it's going to store whatever it finds as I, and it's going to run all of the code. And once all of the code is complete, it's going to come back up to the top of the for loop, and it's going to check the second entry and repeat. And that happens until it no longer has any entries. So this actually won't do anything yet because there's nothing in the page entries. So let's go ahead and make our write book. We're going to do set the source. And now we want to pass in text when you're going to use this, and a text is going to pop up. You're going to be able to write. And just like we did in another verb, we're going to do t as text. It's going to give you the pop-up when you call this, and all we're going to say is page entries dot add t. So whatever you write in the pop-up, we're just going to add it to this list. You can call this as many times as you want. We'll just output a little message that says all right. And that should, nope, I did it again. All right. That should actually work. So we're going to come up here, we're going to go inside, and we're going to come up here, and you're going to see read and write book appears. So if we try to read, nothing happens. So we're going to write, gives us our pop-up. Scribble down your masterpiece, and read. And you're going to see now there's one entry. We're going to add another entry. Scribble down your masterpiece. Now when we read it, it loops through twice because it knows that there's now 2 entries to the book. And it's that easy. So that is everything we're covering today for verbs. There's so many other things you can do with verbs. You know, we could sit here all day, but I don't have enough time for that. So that's it. Make sure you join our Discord if you have any questions, or if you want to show off your designs, or you want the icons, whatever you want to do. We'll see you next time.